Mayor and council members. I am Alexander John Keller, and I am the youngest son of Pam Keller, former city council member. I am here to ask Travis Kiger to remove bad comments about my family from his blog. When I applied to be in ASB leadership at my school, my platform was fighting bullies. I take fighting bullies very seriously, and I quote, "A bully is someone who uses superior strength or influence to intimidate, typically to force him or her to do what one wants." Councilmember Kiger, I'm a 12-year-old kid who spends time fighting bullies in my school, and I never thought I was going to have to spend time to come here to fight adult bullies too. The photos you use in the stories you write about my mom were taken off her website or Facebook without permission. One of those photos was of me, my mom, and my two brothers when we were 6, 8, and 10. We were in a Halloween parade holding masks over our faces, but even the wife of one of your fellow bloggers said, "Everyone knows that those are her children." The third time you used this photo was on a post about a very controversial adult topic in which the original story called my mom a baby killer. You were asked to remove the photo of us because it was so offensive. You refused. Chris Thompson, one of your own, even asked you to remove the photo, and you still refused. Mr. Kiger, tell your daughter to call me when anyone starts including her in attacks against you, and I will give her some advice as how to respond when other kids start talking trash against you on the playground. I have some experience. For the 2010 election, you posted the results. Chris Thompson had just gained a seat on the school board, and your followers were excited. One anonymous commentator who called himself Zippy wrote, "Now with Chris Thompson on the inside, he can keep his promise to destroy Pam Keller and the Fullerton Collaborative. Let's keep the whole family out of Fullerton." Is that what you advocate, Councilmember Kiger? Destroying yourself to the higher standard you have been demanding of others? Or are going to continue to bully other citizens that disagree with you? I am really worried. Will people not speak up for what they believe in because they are intimidated? They may worry that their families will be targeted to be kicked out of Fullerton, like mine was, because they disagree with you. Since you won't listen to the adults, I really hope you will listen to me. Please start acting like a leader, stop the bullying, and take nasty comments about people's families off your blog. Thank you.
Cork Silva, council members, my name is Hayden, and I am a real Fullerton resident, a real Fullerton businessman, and a real horseman, and no, this is not related to a horse injury, for clarification. I also am the chairman of Open Coyote Hills, which is one of my most diverse group of people I've ever been experienced and had the pleasure of being a part of, to work for one single purpose. We have Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, people from all spectrums are part of our committee, and they've banded together to support Yes on W. We have banded together to educate and inform our fellow citizens about the benefits that Yes on W brings, the 283 acres of fully restored open space, the 10 miles of trail, the Nature Center, which will provide an opportunity for learning for both young and old, and the benefits that need to be secured. While others have chosen in this political season to try to manipulate people with fear, emotion, scare tactics, and other things, we have continued our course to provide education and information, encouraging that Fullerton citizens and voters would be informed when they go to the polls on November 6th. Our intent is for people to make an informed decision on November 6th, because that is what a true democracy is all about. It is not about using fear and scare tactics to persuade people. It's about informing them of the true facts and letting people to decide for themselves when they go to that poll. Our group supports Yes on W. We encourage people to read the information and consider a yes vote on W on November 6th. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Michelle Carney. I don't really know what a 12-year-old's doing looking at 4F, but whatever, not my kid. My 12-year-old wouldn't be looking at that. Just saying. Just so you know, I looked at closed session here, and I see that Beth Nam and Edward Tues. We know that that's Kenton Hampton. Apparently, I read earlier something in Fullerton stories that FBI, I guess, cleared 3 of the guys. I don't clear them. I don't want them in my city. I look at Kenton Hampton. These are 2 cases. We're not even talking about probably the 5 or 6 other cases. If you guys can do anything, please remove Kenton Hampton from the police department. We already have enough problems the way it is. Just so you know, Beth Nam versus the City of Fullerton, that is Kenton Hampton. Edward Tues versus the City of Fullerton. I don't see the police department paying for this. I see the City of Fullerton paying these things. So how about this? Why don't we have any time the police department were being sued, have the police department pay for it? Out of their union, out of their own dues? We'll see the way that, I'm telling you right now, if we make it that they have to pay for their own actions, then let's take care of that. I'm hoping that there's any way we can do that, Mr. Attorney. Write up a little something, something. You get a lot of money, maybe you could at least see what my money's going to. Thank you.
Thank you. That's right, I'm your boss. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Carla Turner, and I'm the president of Fullerton Elementary Teachers Association. It is my pleasure to speak before the City Council today. We are standing in support of the Fullerton Police Department by recommending that the City Council continue to not outsource the services of the police department. A local police department which honorably serves the city is a definite advantage during times of crisis. A community which supports a local police department reaps the rewards of men and women who live in the community, who are loyal to the community, and protect and serve that community to the best of their ability. Teachers in the elementary school stand behind the men and women wearing that police uniform, and we hope that we can maintain a collegial relationship long into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
6 through 10, please line up.
And for the public out there, we have about 6 seats towards the front. So if you were out there waiting, there are some seats way up front.
Welcome. Good evening. My name is Helen Higgins. I don't understand Fullerton's obsession in dealing with an unscrupulous entity like Chevron Oil Company. Chevron that sued Fullerton for $1 million when it didn't get its way. Chevron, under criminal investigation by the federal government for circumventing pollutants around monitoring equipment at its Richmond, California refinery, and then illegally burning off those pollutants into the urban area. Chevron, under investigation by the LA County Civil Grand Jury for failure to pay as much as $9.5 million in back utility taxes in El Segundo. Chevron, that benefited financially in Fullerton by paying one of the lowest per barrel oil production tax in Southern California. And Chevron, that is waging an intentionally misleading campaign on Measure W, perpetrated by the approval of 3 of our current council members, Mr. Whitaker, Mr. Seaborn, and Mr. Kiger, in renaming the ballot measure. The verbiage of the measure is pure glib. It fools the voter into thinking a yes will mean a huge nature park instead of multiple massive housing tracts, plus a commercial strip with only fragments of open space around the edges. The first 2 paragraphs in the impartial analysis clearly state the real objective of Measure W. If a majority of voters vote yes, Measure W will uphold Fullerton's adoption of Ordinance 3169, approving the development agreement between the city and Chevron for the West Coyote Hills project. That project authorizes building 760 homes, retail development, and multiple-use site. If a majority of voters vote no, Measure W will repeal the ordinance and overturn the council's approval of the development agreement. The Friends of Coyote Hills gathered over 10,000 signatures to put the referendum on the ballot, not to challenge a nature park, but to contest an immense building project in the last open space in Fullerton. No on W says no to Chevron.
Good evening. My name is Susan Garfield Wright, and I come here as a resident, a voting member of the city of Fullerton. We have, please, Mr. Richard.
Talking to her.
Do not talk while we have
Let me
public
just
comment.
address this.
Yeah, really.
Okay, I wish to bring to the city of Fullerton a reminder that we all are residents here. We all have different issues, but we are all joined together by our commitment for reconciliation to help make our city a positive example to other cities in California. We do this while we have dialogue, while we have disagreement, while we are speaking about agenda items. This evening at a Lutheran church, they are feeding the hungry. Later on this evening, there will be people at the train station who are feeding the hungry. We have a homeless task force. We have an ecumenical group that is being formed to facilitate a year-round shelter for our homeless community. And we want to speak in love and concern and respect for everyone that makes this city so wonderful. So I ask for prayers because I am a prayer warrior, and I ask for concern and consideration for differing viewpoints so that my homeless community and our police department do not become victims of our willingness to work together. Let us come together and be a family. Thank you.
Good evening, council members and concerned citizens of Fullerton. I want to start off by thanking the members of this council for your service. I want to especially thank Mayor Cork Silva for her remarkable job. Your resolve and service to this community has been a godsend. I shudder to think of where we would be if someone else had been the mayor instead of you. You've been a shining example of what it means to be a leader in Fullerton. Let me state that I am not a police officer, a retired police officer, or married to a police officer. I am a resident and a business owner here in Fullerton and have been for 20 years. There's been a great deal of attention brought to Mr. Whitaker's position on marijuana legalization. I've heard a lot of people speak the past couple of months about Mr. Whitaker's position on complete legalization of marijuana and on his support for pot dispensaries in Fullerton. One thing I haven't heard is a response from Mr. Whitaker. I think you show a tremendous amount of disrespect to your constituents by ignoring their questions and concerns. I want to highlight a growing concern about a situation in Huntington Beach. I'm not sure if you've read the newspapers, but there has been a rash of teenagers and young people overdosing on heroin in that city. Many say it has become an epidemic there. The Orange County Register published a story earlier this month about Tyler McLeod. Tyler was an 18-year-old high school senior who died last month of a heroin overdose. Pastor's quoted as saying, "This is the most senseless thing I've ever seen in my life, and could have been prevented." Tyler's death shows this is not a game, this is deadly stuff. Why do we bring this up today? Because of the path that led to Tyler's heroin overdose and his death. The article said first was marijuana and cigarettes, then ecstasy and prescription drugs and pills, and finally heroin.
What about alcohol?
I'll debate that.
True. Mr. Whitaker, is this what you had in mind when you attended the fundraiser to legalize marijuana? Do you want to make it easier and easier to get marijuana? We don't want marijuana dispensaries in Fullerton. We do want leaders who will work to keep us safe, not work against our police department and the officers who serve this community. Mr. Whitaker and Mr. Kiger, when you were elected, you were placed in office to serve the people of Fullerton, but your actions thus far appear to be contrary to what you were placed in office to do. Are you here to serve the people, or are you here to serve yourselves? Most dramas, they're good guys and bad guys. Where do you, Mr. Whitaker, and you, Mr. Kiger, place yourselves? I've had to continually ask myself, what are your true objectives? Maybe it's time you ask yourself the same question.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager. My name is Laura Avery.
Pull the mics up a little bit. There you go.
My name is Laura Avery. I'm a 26-year resident of Fullerton. I've been volunteering with Save Coyote Hills for about 10 years. I was involved in many of their fundraising efforts when we raised over $25,000 to correct many of the misstatements and mistakes that were in the 2 environmental impact reports that were presented to City Council by Chevron. In 2010, City Council voted not to zone Coyote Hills for housing development. Chevron sued. Here we are again today, fighting the same battle. Fortunately, this time, the future of North Orange County's last open space is in the hands of the voters. Chevron's paid staff, not volunteers, is circulating flyers that state that Measure W does not approve housing. This is a very cynical sleight of words intended to mislead voters into thinking that Chevron will create more open space. 760 houses in a strip mall built on 510 acres, a graded hilltop open space, does not in fact create more open space. By my calculation, it reduces open space significantly and degrades habitat permanently. As a volunteer, I will be spending the next few weeks between now and November 6th helping to save Coyote Hills Spur Park and a preserve for everyone forever. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Cork Silva and City Council. I am a resident of Fullerton and have been aware of much of the goings-on in town around election time. So I took great umbrage when I found the current mailers sent by 2 of the City Council members running for re-election, Travis Kiger and Bruce Whitaker. One was apparently sent to Republican households speaking they hate union employees. The other was sent to a Democrat household speaking they would take the heatings from a professor at Cal State Fullerton because they believe educators. The kicker on these mailers is this statement, and I quote, "Special interest groups and their candidates are trying to smear your trusted City Council members, Travis Kiger and Bruce Whitaker." I bursted into tears from laughing so hard because I would consider you, Mr. Kiger, the king of smear in this town. As the key creator of the Cork blog, you have refined smearing as a daily medium to exaggerate and lie about people, complete with name-calling insults. Kiger, you're the master of the smear campaigns, and that mailer is a twisted, sordid work of irony. Here's a few you have written. You can't deny it because you don't use your real name. I just assume it is your work, voicing more BS and telling a lie and bashing on everyone who doesn't agree with you. As I look through your musings, I see that you really have it out for women. You're a true misogynist, and your hatred for women is obvious. I'd like to enumerate on just a few and current lambastings and insults. First one here is on Jennifer Fitzgerald. It looks like a Republican phalanx has already started a dredge Laguna Lake for candidates to run in November. Okay, so it went on saying that Jennifer Cowan for City Council, questioning who is this person, and a lot more about that later. Next candidate, Jan Flory. Seeing Jan Flory in action, I have come to recognize a bitter, humorless shrew. Another quoted passage from the blog. Somebody better tell Mrs. Flory to quit wearing those rayon moo-moo things and those cheap plastic boots. Wait for 2016 1973, which is when she bought them. Meow, fist. Referring to Jen, Flory, Kitty Yaramil, and Sharon Kirk Silva. Since I do not want to be accused of being sexist, I shall refrain from a literary reference to Macbeth. I would note, however, that there is not enough brain power in this picture to light a match. Gee, how could you refrain from the Macbeth illusion? On Sharon Kirk Silva. Now that's a fine collection of educrats, leaning politicos that have helped tank California. Going on saying, can you really be that clueless, or is it just desperation? On Pam Keller, yes, every sanctimonious, ever self-righteous Fullerton Queen collaboratives. And of course, you didn't spare me from the KFI hacks, John and Ken. Yeah, you gloated over that one, thinking that was good.
Thank you.
I have my right to speak too.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is John Murray.
Can we check on the mic? Can we check the mic? All right, John, go ahead.
My name is John Murray. I'm a resident of Fullerton, and it's an honor to address the council tonight. I first wanted to express my disgust as to the council taking upon itself the power to respond to people standing on this sacred ground. How dare you? I notice that you have been quiet, and I appreciate it. I sat on my couch, hesitant to come here for the last 2 months, and you know that I've done that in the past. I've spoke my mind. I've offered my opinion, right or wrong, up or down, yes or no. It didn't matter. I was free to do that. The effect that you've had by giving power to yourself is chilling. It's disgusting, and it will be remembered on November 6th. That being said, my basic reason to be here is to talk to you, Mayor Silva. You and I know each other for issues dealing with Fullerton. You have a D after your name. I have an R after my name. I've worked with you and had the esteemed pleasure of working with you on an issue that was so minor, but you gave me absolute respect as though my issue was the most important thing happening in Fullerton. I could stand here tonight and talk about the disgraceful behavior that I have witnessed in the last couple months from this behavior. The pettiness, the name-calling, the finger-pointing, the ridiculous conduct that is disgraceful and unacceptable. But I'm here to speak to you, Sharon, because I'm afraid, I'm saddened. Your reputation of 8 years of public service and dedication to the city we love is having a cloud over its head, in the sense that your legacy and your reputation will be made and founded based on what is going on in the last 2 months with this council. It is shameful. I know personally that that's not how I would remember you and how I will remember you in your work for us in Sacramento. But I wanted to let you know that you have garnered great support because of your willingness to sit down and listen, compromise, negotiate. You did not bring forth a rigid political ideology that was inflexible. You gave, you compromised, you understood. You forged the best solution you could possibly do for every person that was at the table. And I thank you for that, Mayor. Thank you.
City Council, hi. I just decided to speak today because I found out this is the last City Council meeting before the election, and I'm not going to do as well as Alex Keller. I'm a 35-year resident of Fullerton, and I'm here about Measure X. I'm against Measure X. In 1986, I had to go away on vacation for 4th of July, and I had a wood-shaped roof, and I literally watered down my entire roof because I was so afraid to leave my home because of fireworks, and I was thrilled when we banned fireworks. They're dirty and they're messy and they're dangerous. I know people who literally have lost their dogs. They've had to sedate. I know a personal friend who has to sedate her dog on the 4th of July because it gets so freaked out from all the noise. And the city, it looked like a war zone back then when we used to have it. It looked like a war zone afterward, and the streets were dirty. I'd have to go up and sweep up the streets myself. I have a close relative in Buena Park. He literally cannot stand to live in Buena Park for an entire week because of all the noise and the barking dogs from all the fireworks. He literally hates living there during that week. I personally go to Long Beach on 4th of July because my brother lives there and he has a pool. So we go there and we watch the fireworks at the Queen Mary. Also, I have here my water bill where also I called Buena Park about banning. They only allow 25 stands. This says you're going to give them to anybody who wants them, all. They only allow 25 stands. They cost $1,000 a piece. They also told me, I talked to Public Works, they told me that they turn their sprinklers on in the city parks at night on 4th of July so that people will not use the parks for fireworks. And they also have in their contract for street sweeping, extra duty, extra street clean after 4th of July. I guess that's it. And in closing, I'd like to say one of the reasons why I like living here is because of the Fullerton Police Department. I like to know the 24. I don't like the parking on the streets because I feel safer, and I also like living in a city that doesn't have fireworks. It's very pleasant here on 4th of July.
Thank you.
My name's Fullerton Residence and college graduate of Fullerton Residence, and I'm graduated Fullerton College. And what I want to talk about tonight is the rates and water rates. My water bill is now $62, $65 a month. I want to fix this and I want to apply they want to work rates, water rates for the trash and sewage. And why did they increase your salary? Is that what it is? That was not they get them with before the recall. They were trying to raise the water rates, and I'm just wondering if that's what's going on here. Does residents of Fullerton have to pay more on their water bill? And they, I don't understand why they're raising water rates. I mean, with what the increase in your salary, is that what it is? Because we residents of Fullerton, the seniors and disabled, we're on fixed income. And then also, I want to speak on the 3 officers about the Kelly complex. I don't know if someone must have lost their head by letting them officers stay on the boards that they have Kniffen, Hampton, Ray, and what's his name, Blackley. They should be in jail all six without bail. I believe in justice. If there is no justice, with the system, it's just why not let the citizens of Fullerton police the city? Maybe we can run better community-oriented policing. What happens to that? I live in Santa Ana, at least over there, and you get together with the residents of the city and discuss things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Cork Silva and members of the City Council. I want to thank you for giving the opportunity to me to come and speak to you tonight. I am Bernard Lipman, a 49-year resident of the city of Fullerton. How should we vote on Proposition W in November? The developer of the proposed housing tract, Chevron Oil Company, and its subsidiary, Pacific Coast Homes, are corporations dedicated to developing profits for their shareholders, first and foremost. The welfare of the city of Fullerton is way down on their list of priorities. Chevron's claim of open space advocacy is completely bogus. In an effort to gain approval for their West Coyote Hills housing tract, they are dangling such inducements as an interpretive center for Coyote Hills in front of our eyes like a small child at Christmas, complete with ribbons and dingling bells. The city of Fullerton does not need such distracting inducements. It needs 510 acres of open space and trails in a fully preserved Coyote Hills for the spiritual and physical well-being of all of its citizens, young and old. When you take into account all the costs of maintaining this proposed ill-conceived housing tract, such as streets and traffic, pollution, lighting, sewers, water supply, police and fire protection, and an increased load on our public schools, and try to balance these factors against an at best supposed problematic income from sales taxes, which will to a large extent go to La Habra and Brea anyway, you will have a losing proposition for the city of Fullerton and a long-term drain on the city's resources. We are told by the housing tract proponents that the housing tract will provide 2,000 new jobs. If and when the housing tract project is built, these temporary jobs will disappear like dust on the wind. Remember, Mayor Cork Silva, City Council members, and all the citizens of the city of Fullerton, Chevron and Pacific Coast Homes that are bringing you skyrocketing gas prices at the pump and are promoting a 760-unit housing tract are one and the same. Take our future in your hands. Chevron can continue to sell gasoline. Let us, the citizens, keep control of the city. Thank you. Vote no on Proposition W.
And I'm just going to remind the speakers, there is a blinking yellow light that lets you know that there's 30 seconds, and we're going to really ask you to try to keep your comments within that time period. Please. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Brian Bartholomew. I'm running for City Council, and I'm up here today because I wanted to talk about Measure W. If you have not been on the tour yet, I'm encouraging everyone to try to go on the tour that they're holding on Saturday afternoons to see for yourself what the project is all about. A couple things that I've noticed in my neighborhood, even last night, was people coming around the neighborhood, and as the No on W folks will tell you, they are volunteers, and that's fantastic, I think. But they've been coming to some of my neighbors, and my neighbors obviously call me and let me know some of the things they're telling them. Some of the things don't seem to be true. They might be some scare tactics, but I think they do have a right to be heard. But I'd like to address a couple of those. Measure W will overcrowd schools, or something they're telling everybody, and this is not true. According to the Fullerton School District, the district weighed in on this issue on a September 27th board meeting. They concluded that the overcrowding will not occur as a result of the implementation of the West Coyote Hills plan, and many of the trustees have also expressed support for the $11 million measure, or $11 million part of Measure W that will be going to local schools. Another thing they've been saying is Measure W does not preserve enough open space. Again, this is not true. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the service concluded that there will actually be more quality habitat at West Coyote Hills after Measure W passes than exists today. The other thing they're saying is the Bob Ward Nature Preserve is open right now to everybody, and not true. according to me, and obviously what's going on there. There is a small sliver that you can see, but I attended the tour and saw how much firsthand is actually not open to the public and how much will be open to the public. Within 6 months of the passage of Measure W, you're going to see 2.4 miles of trails open up almost immediately. One other thing that they were telling one of my neighbors, which I thought was fantastic, was with all the oil wells on the property, there's an extreme fire hazard, and we could have one of the worst fires in the history of Southern California if we let this happen. Obviously, no one's going to build homes on an area that's not taken care of, where they don't go through with the EIR and under the California State Department of Conservation with oversight by the Orange County Health Care Agency, making sure that it is safe to build there. And just one of the last things I wanted to say is I think that the tour is fantastic. We've not been on it. Before you vote on it, I think you should go up. Jennifer Rigby with the Acorn Group runs this. She's been doing this since 1981. She's been working with education interpretation of the environment, and I think if you haven't been up there, please do before you vote. Take the tour. You can go on the Vote Yes on W website and contact them to book the tour, and I hope you do. Thank you.
Thank you. We are on speaker number 15, so if 16 through 20 would like to please come line up.
Are they low enough? Can you hear? Mm-hmm. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak, and I want to thank profusely the coaches, the parents, and the teachers for raising such a wonderful, wonderful group of children that came here last week to express themselves regarding their field. I was out in the lobby, and they were having a great time. They marched, and you heard them and everything, but the minute the meeting started, it was almost like a pin could drop. I was totally amazed. And I think that's absolutely wonderful, and it gives me great faith in the future. I do feel badly that the children had to do this because of things that happen. But I understand. I don't know the whole story, but I understand that they were not given any notice that they were going to have to leave the field. And I thought, well, gee whiz, when you're evicted from your home, you at least get 90 days. But I think the children were absolutely wonderful. And again, it's the coaches, the parents, and the teachers. And that gives me faith in learning that the children can do so well at public speaking. And I'm just amazed at how well they all behaved to a very late hour. And I wanted to thank you for allowing me to speak. And I hope things work out to everybody's satisfaction and everybody gets benefit. I thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. Thank you again.
Thank you. I'll just give you a quick update on that. We did have meetings after that council meeting and since then, and there has been a temporary agreement in the meantime, and then there will be a continued working together with the soccer group. Thank you.
My name is Richard Dwyer, 11-year resident of Fullerton. I made a public records request. I want to know if any of the 4th and 6th cops ever got disability in the last year and a half. It was denied. I'm not surprised. Cover up. I think it would be a crime if Cicinelli, Ramos, and Wolf have been collecting disability for the last year. That would be a crime. You go out and you kill somebody, you still get disability. I want to have this agendized. I want to put pressure on the police to release the information about who's on disability for the last year and a half. We have a right to know who's getting the disability payments. All right. The Fullerton Police Department is supposed to enforce the laws. Proposition 215 for medical marijuana was voted in by the voters. It's state law. It's up to the police to uphold the law. It's not up to them to come in here and whine about and complain and bring their bongs. And how stupid that was in front of a bunch of little children. Parents are saying, hey, I'm trying to keep my kids away from drugs and violence, and here's a cop bringing in a ball. Really sweet. I held back last meeting because those kids were here. No children here tonight, so I'm holding back. All right, the DUI checkpoints. Apparently, I can't believe I have to tell the union this. They work for the city, okay? It's real simple. The city council will decide those issues. For them to come in here and whine and cry and bitch how they're not getting their way, I don't understand. I mean, wear a uniform. Have respect. You're going to come in here, wear a uniform. But have all your buddies come in here and complain and you know, argue about how marijuana and make up stories about Travis and Bruce and get up there and just defame them. You can laugh all you want. You know why you people are here. You're here to protect the pocketbooks. Money. That's what you're here for. The Fullerton citizens are not going to, we're not stupid. We see what's going on. They're only here to protect their damn interests. They'll come here every meeting if they have to. But I'll be here every meeting too. And I'll speak my voice and I don't care what they say. You know, attacking the councilman only proves that you're not, only proves that you don't want to do your job anymore. You need to go out there and enforce the law, and that's your job. That's what I want to see these guys doing. Are they collecting overtime right now? It's crazy. They should be out there doing their jobs. And here they are every meeting for the last 2 months protecting their interests. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. Stay out of politics, quit your whining, and do your jobs. If you want to do something, why don't you reform your police department? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Marilyn Davison, Fullerton resident. I've lived in Fullerton most of my life, and what happened to Clay Thomas was horrible. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. The police officers that did what they did are being accountable and should be charged. Nobody should be treated that way. There's prisoners in jail for murder, rape, kidnap, and they're treated with respect and meals. Nobody should be beaten to the street. I've talked to Dan Hughes in detail. There's a lot of great Fullerton police officers out there. DiCaprio is one that part of the homeless task force. We have excellent Fullerton police officers, and unfortunately, the few officers that beat Kelly Thomas, all 6 of them should be charged. 3 of them are being charged now. The other 3 should follow. What happened to him was horrible. It should have never happened. But for the rest of the Fullerton Police Department, I feel that a lot of them that I've come in contact to, very respectful, do their jobs. Dan Hughes is trying to clean up the department and should be a leader. What we brought in last time was sellers coming in from another department was a whole other problem. We'll talk about that later. One thing I do want to get to is Joe Phelps, thank you so much. The lights are on Montague. After 1 year, the lights are on.
Awesome.
After paying water and trash bill, I have several properties that I pay water and trash on, and very upset that my water went up this month because trash went up exceptional. And the curb is in 2 concrete pieces in the front of the building on Montague. 201 is the address. And it is a real bad hazard. So between the city attorney and the city manager, it's city curb that's in the street in 2 places. A liability just waiting to happen. I hope it doesn't take a year to fix it, because the skateboarders are jumping off it and ramping off of it. So I think the street division, we've contacted Olga in risk management, and she's going to look into it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. I first want to also say something about marijuana. We live in California. I'm from Colorado. In Colorado, we have similar laws over there, but actually we have, we're a lot more progressive over there. You can go to pretty much any shopping center and see the green cross. It's not some weird thing. It's medicine. It's medicine. Do people understand that? So the police officers that are sitting in this room, you are sworn to uphold the laws of our country, of our state, which says that anyone that has a script from a doctor can smoke medical marijuana, just so everybody knows. Also, I would like to speak about, this is the report from the grand jury on Wolf, and I just want to remind all the police officers that are in this room that you took a code of ethics. There's a code of ethics that goes along with what you do, and it says, as a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, and to respect the constitutional rights of all through liberty, equality, and justice. I will remain courageous, calm, in the face of dangerous scorn or ridicule, develop self-restraint, and constantly mindful of the welfare of others. I will be exemplary in obeying the law and regulations of my department. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, political beliefs, aspiration, animosity, or friendships to influence my decision, with no compromise for crime and the relentless prosecution of criminals. I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without fear or favor, malice or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence. Okay, so that was written or was stated by Joe McNamara, which is the chief of police from Kansas City, who testified in this. He also wanted to bring up Penal Code 300.1.2, duty to intercede. Any officer present observing another officer using force that is clearly beyond that which is objectively reasonable under the circumstances shall, when in a position to do so, intercede to prevent the use of such excessive force. What? So the other three that you still have on this department, I demand that they are fired now. I demand that they are fired right now. You may laugh about it. We are demanding, we the people are demanding that they are fired. You have the power to do that, Dan. You have the power. And it says right here that we are on the right track. Somebody came all the way from New York to testify about how he felt that this should have applied to those other three officers. They should have done something to stop that, just like I would do something to stop that if it was happening to any one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're on speaker number 20, so 21 to 25 would please come line up, and I have a feeling we have two number 25, so come on the Roshi and go over which one of you goes first.
Good evening.
My name is Joseph Vasquez.
Just pull it up a little bit. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
My name is Joseph Vasquez. Public speaking is not my forte.
That's okay. You're doing
I'm
fine.
from another city because I'm compelled to come here. I've seen a lot of things the last couple months, a lot of attacks on you guys. What I'm not seeing out here, I'm seeing a lot of, hey, let's talk about pot. Let's talk about this. I don't hear much about how the city thrives on alcohol and bars. That's one thing. You guys want to be real? Talk about this report, this Kelly Thomas issue. Let's talk about what we didn't, what we still haven't heard. Let's talk about the conduct following the Kelly Thomas issue. Let's talk about why the video stopped, why we haven't seen how the officers conduct themselves, how the officers treated the people who were videotaping. Why haven't we seen these other videotapes? Why? What are we trying to hide? I personally have met somebody who is still scared to death from their intimidation that they were faced with that night from the officers. Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's get to the answers. Let's talk about real issues here. You want to talk about accountability? You guys want a police force? You know, the world's watching. You guys want a police force that's reputable? You need accountability. I'm not sure if Tues is the guy for that, but that's up for debate later. That's not what this is about. Let's look at the money you're spending in litigation for all these police officers. Can we talk about maybe looking at the price of what it costs cameras? They're relatively cheap. You put cameras on maybe their tasers or their guns, you're gonna see officers change their attitude. You're gonna see who's good and who's bad, and you're gonna see the litigation go down. Accountability is what we need, and we need to see what happened with those videos that night. We need to see how the officers conducted themselves. I mean, me myself, I've seen how the police officers here with police intimidation. I mean, shit, excessive honking? Come on. Really? Come on, you guys. Is that what you're spending your money on? I mean, that was a bad move all around. This is bad. Let's change this. Let's make this happen. You know, we're not against police. We're not against officers. You know, actually, I've got family that's Leos. We're against brutality and murder. Let's get together. Let's find the truth. Let's get some good officers. I want my kid to know who good guys and bad guys are.
Thank you.
Honorable Fullerton City Council. I'm talking about the death of my son, Daniel Olander. My name is Vivian Olander, and it has been over 6 weeks since my son Daniel, the father of 3 minor children, was assaulted in front of Heroes Bar and Grill here in Fullerton and died of head injuries on his 36th birthday. We have been patient and waited for the Fullerton Police Department to investigate this murder. As of this day, the Fullerton Police have been unsuccessful in locating any video footage witnesses that could have led to the identity and the arrest of the persons responsible for his death. I come before you, the Fullerton City Council, asking for your help. My son was born and raised here in Orange County, and we were living here in Fullerton at the time of his death. I want you to know who Daniel was. At the age of 17, he opened up his first skate shop here in Fullerton, which was called Pyro. It was located on Harbor Boulevard. He would later have 6 more skate shops, including a skate park. He even opened up one in Henderson, Nevada. We later opened up 2 Italian restaurants. We lost these due to the bad economy. He was divorced and was just getting his life together. Dan was had a brilliant mind, and he was very business-oriented. He loved me and his children, Tori, Lexi, and Nick. Dan was a kind and honest man, and he had a good heart. I raised him to respect everyone. He was a law-abiding person, and he would have helped anybody that needed help. This beautiful person was taken from me on his 36th birthday. The weekend of his death, we went to the scene outside of Heroes and passed out flyers. That Saturday, there was a lot of police presence, marked and unmarked units, foot patrol. We went and walked around the Seco district and passed out flyers talking to various businesses. They were all supportive. As we walked around Seco district and saw young and old, some underage, drinking alcohol, many barely able to stand, holding on to parked vehicles or each other, they were apparently under the influence. We were told this happens every weekend, and the police know this. We also found out that many of the businesses provide their own security inside their businesses. Many told us off the record that they had no security outside of the businesses or the parking lots.
Go ahead and finish.
Thank you. Outside of the businesses or parking lots and sidewalks or parking structures across from Heroes. Had there been security on that morning that Daniel was assaulted, maybe Dan would still be here and it would have made a difference. The next night, Sunday, we went back again and handed out flyers. We were surprised that we did not see any marked or unmarked police units or police foot patrols like the night before. What we saw was the same thing, young and old, under the influence, totally intoxicated, unable to stand or walk without holding onto something or someone. Most of all, no security outside the bars or as one leaves the Seco district. As a citizen of Fullerton, to prevent this from happening to any other family, I am asking for the Fullerton City Council to post a reward for any information leading to the arrest and conviction
who was responsible for my son's death. I am sure the local businesses of the Seco district will help raise funds for this reward. At the same time, I request additional funding for the police that have foot patrols at the Seco district at all times, especially in the evening hours. I leave these flyers with you to let you know what I'm going to be passing out this weekend.
Thank you.
Anyone who, on Labor Day weekend, September 2, 2012, at 1 o'clock a.m., who was in front of Heroes Bar and Grill, saw our son, Daniel Olander, father of 3 minor children, and his cousin being assaulted by 2 unidentified males, causing Daniel to fall on the cement, striking his head on the sidewalk. He died the following morning on his 36th birthday from head injuries. If anyone saw or knows anything, the family asks that you please call or contact Detective Barry Kaufman of the Fullerton Police Department at 714-738-6700. The Olander family, thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Looks like we are on one of our 2 number 25s if you're here, and if the other 25 through 30 would please come line up.
And we do have about 6 seats available if you're out there waiting and would like to sit down.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Mayor, council members. In